Like a craft beer through a pint glass, these are the gays of our lives. A show where Lisa and Avery get out their gay decoder rings to decipher the gay alphabet and bridge the gap between the older and younger LGBTQ community and everyone fucking else. And now here are your hosts, Lisa and Avery. Don't blame them.
Hey, it's Lisa.
And this is Avery.
And this week on The Gays of Our Lives, we have a special guest.
We're going to be exploring the leather culture of not just the gay society, but I think of society overall.
We have Mr. Indiana Leather 2018,
Hello.
Jeremy Muncie.
Hello, everyone. How are we? First off, thank you so much for having me come out and do this. And really quick, before we start talking about Gays of Our Lives, I have to give a great shout out to my partner, Daryl. I didn't realize we were going to do a video. So right after he got off work, he made sure that I had some nice leather to wear so that I could look good. So,
Well, you look cute to me.
Thank you. Well, just a little bit ago, I was wearing my work uniform, and that is not leather.
They won't allow that, huh?
I just don't think I would felt too comfortable wearing that when I could feel more comfortable wearing this. So
I like it.
Thank you.
So, speaking of your partner, I met you two at the 501. Have you ever heard of the 501?
No, not at all.
It used to be a leather bar, the only leather bar. Am I correct?
It was the only leather bar in Indianapolis for a long time, and it shut down about 2015, 2016. Like
Right.
I said, I was thinking about my family tree in order to answer
Yeah,
that.
and I had never gone in there because I was scared of it.
Yeah.
Being a lesbian, I was scared to go into the 501, the leather, and I heard stories, and they played porn on the TVs, and I was like, I'm scared. No.
By that point, they had calmed down with that.
and they were closing.
But they were showing the still showing sexy
Yeah.
images.
And I was scared
Kinda
of
like,
it. Kinda.
Talbot Street, maybe.
Well,
Kind of like, or
soft
like how
porn.
Greg's will do today.
Soft porn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll even just show their images. They won't show, but 501 was still showing some soft core, you
Yeah.
know, kind of. But all the sexier parts were snipped out.
But we went in there, there was a group of us, and we went in there because I'd always wanted to go in there. It was just right before they closed. And we met him and Daryl. And Daryl is, wait a minute, you're how old?
I just hit my 37th birthday this last December.
Okay, and Daryl is how old?
He will be 64 in June. So you got a Capricorn and a Gemini together. That
That's
have
not-
almost 30 years apart.
Yeah, I was going to say, the 30 years compared to
the
the
signs.
months,
yeah.
that's what would, that's,
Right.
and that
But-
was many years ago, and you guys are still together.
Yeah, and it's a really great relationship. But you know what the really funny part about a relationship is? I'm leather. He is not.
He's not into leather.
He's not into leather.
So what does your leather mean?
To me, my leather means bringing out this certain part of who I am. I can't really explain what it is, what it means. I just know that those that identify with leather, we have different reasons, but the fact that we all identify with this is what brings us together. Many times I've heard from other people, not just myself, that when they put leather on, they feel taller. And so when I put on this jacket and I put on these boots or some other form of leather, I just see this man, and I'm like, wow, it reminds me of the first time I really put on leather and felt it, and I almost teared up. I did tear up because I was waking up, and I was like, this is what makes sense now. It just fulfilled me, and it kind of gave me a certain conclusion that I had been looking for. So
But
that's
is
kind
it
of
a
what leather means to me.
Is it a sexual orientation? It's not, is it?
No. There's so many different. You don't have to just be gay to enjoy leather.
Okay.
We have so many sisters of leather, so many women of leather that are out there in this community. Rachel Balls, my sash wife, who's the current Miss Indiana Leather Pride.
Oh.
Adina Gentle, who was International Person of Leather 2017. And then we've got Miss Kendra, who is the owner of GLLA, Great Lakes Leather Alliance. So those are women. We have the pansexual community that relate with leather. There are straight people who relate with leather. So it's not just a gay thing or part of the gay community. It's part of the gay community, but it's not exclusive to gay community.
So it's just how you like to dress.
In some ways, yes. Back in the, say, 60s and 70s, a lot of gay men were adopting the leather because of its hypermasculinity. Because leather originally belonged a lot to the military. So a lot of men in the military were wearing leather pants, leather shirts, leather jackets. And our community thought, what's the manliest thing that we can do, that we can be? And leather was that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So for you in your lifestyle, how is leather a part of your lifestyle then? Other than just like obviously it makes you feel like your full self.
Mm-hmm.
So like is that just like an off hours thing then? Or?
Well, it's really interesting because I'll let you know a little secret. So tomorrow will make a month since my step down as Mr. Indiana Leather. So now we have Mr. Indiana Leather 2019, Joe Hildenberg, brand, my sash son. But this is actually the first thing I've done since I've stepped down. But why it could be looked at as a form of fashion, which some do like it because of that. I love leather because it also gives me something to relate to someone. So when I'm in a leather bar or leather crowd, that's when I feel my most at home.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I can have fun in many different scenarios and with many different groups of people. But when I see someone, let's say another guy who likes the same kind of leather as me, I want to go talk to him now.
Wait a minute, the same kind of leather as you.
He might be wearing the same kind of jacket. He might be wearing the same kind of colors I'm wearing.
So not just leather, just the similar style of leather.
So let me talk about that. So in leather, we do have our color codes. Yes.
Okay.
So if you're wearing a certain color, that might mean that you enjoy a certain activity. And where you're wearing that. So a lot of times if you see someone of leather wearing a hanky.
The red, oh my God, I heard that Sean
Yeah.
Latham did that bit.
Yeah.
You're at the top or you're the bottom or...
Right. And different. Now,
I thought that was just a joke he did. I didn't know that was real.
no, that's real. No, because back in the day, long time ago, back when our community was more in the shadows, the shames, that was your only way of communicating. That you might be into that. So that it's like you had to use very little vocal to come
And you
across
have
what
bandanas that you hang out of your back pocket. To
So
let
that's
people
why a
know.
lot of that was there. Yeah.
I really thought that was just a bit.
No, that is a part of our heritage.
I didn't know that.
Now, today in modern times, just because you're wearing a certain color doesn't mean that that's what you're into necessarily, but you need to know what that color means if you are
So
going
the
to wear
different
it.
color
Yeah.
leather jacket?
Or the hanky, or maybe the color of tie, or different colors within what you're wearing.
Within the, okay, so give us an example. What
Okay,
colors?
so
Black, of course.
one of my brothers, he wears a lot of yellow. He'll wear a yellow tie, or he'll wear leather boots black leather boots with yellow stitching. Still tells someone that he is involved with a certain activity that he enjoys.
Huh.
I'm trying to keep it clean.
Yeah, no, I get it, I get it. Yeah.
But it's a way of communicating what your interest may be.
So how many, is there like every color that's out there identifies
There-
as something?
That is a really good question because if you really get into it, there is a list this long of different things that might be different colors.
So like if I
Or
saw,
of different colors that are of different interests.
so if I saw a woman with leather and I thought she was attractive and I saw some orange on there, I'd have to go look and see what that
You
meant
could?
for sure.
Yeah, you really picked an interesting color with that too.
Oh God.
Orange means
I hope
the
everybody's
sky's the
feeling
limit.
Oh. I like orange.
that. No, you
Oh,
don't.
I do as a color, shut up. I'm a prude, I know.
But that brings up a good example. I wear red, and I'm not necessarily always interested into the things that are associated with red.
Well, that's what I would wonder, if maybe you just had on a blue shirt that day and somebody comes up and goes, yeah, I'll be your bottom.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
that,
see,
no.
but that's an example of different times now. because now we can communicate a little bit more, and we're able to do that. So
And
that
just talk
so
about
that yeah, just talk about it. But just know what that color might be associated with.
Kind
See,
of.
because I have colors that I would wear, and I just want to wear them because I like the color.
Well, see, it'd kind of be nice to know if you're in a bar and you're going up to hit on somebody. Oh, she's got a pink one hanging out. Oh, she likes it up the butt.
One thing,
Or whatever.
one thing that
Oh,
might
no, whatever
actually,
they're into.
when you get a little bit of spare time, watch the movie Cruisin' with Al Pacino.
I've seen that. My friend watched that one summer.
Okay.
Yes.
It is very eye opening.
It is very eye-opening. Now, of course, it's this thriller, suspenseful, serial killers out. But it is really interesting to see the leather community represented in that movie because it was made back in the 1970s. Nobody had their phones. Nobody had these apps.
Oh, yeah.
The bars were
That's how you met.
wall to wall. That's how you met, and you had a good time doing it that way. It's really interesting to see the. You should watch it for fun sometime.
I will.
Yes.
I will. I will
Yes.
do that for sure. So when you were talking about your dress and everything, and I look at the boots that are very nice and clean, by the way.
Oh, sorry, I
Very
didn't mean to
beautiful.
put them like right there in your face.
It's okay. Kicking me. And your outfit, and I just keep thinking John Travolta in Grease.
You know what? It's so funny because
Was he a leather guy?
I walked out today. I put on everything as I was at work, and I was thinking, they're gonna think I look so John Travolta. Throw me off. Well, Grease is a little bit different. That's a
I was just
very.
thinking maybe he's into leather.
You never know who's
Right.
into leather.
You're
that
right.
you bring up another good point because you never know who's into leather. You never know. I've met doctors. I've met psychologists. I've met therapists. I've met accountants, school teachers
Oh, I'm sure.
that belong to the leather community. So, you know, like for me, I'm pretty open with things associated with me. I only work in retail. So I don't have to be, no, of course
Yeah.
I don't talk about all these events and, you know,
Oh, no.
some of my own personal experiences, but back when I won Mr. Indiana Leather 2018, I did say to my boss, hey, I won this competition, this leather competition, and now this whole year I'm going to be touring and doing things. And of course, you know, he was so straight and so straight-laced and so everything. He said, are you telling me you're a drag queen now? No joke. I said, you know what, never mind. I said, I'm just going to be traveling a little bit more during the weekend, so I just want you to be aware of what's going on. And also with social media, you never know what you're going to pop up with. So
No, you're not. I had somebody at a poker game in like Lebanon, Indiana, come up to me and say, I saw a picture of you naked, and I was like, what? And then he's like, with some other girls, and I was like, oh, I did a Survivor's photo shoot. But this guy is random and you know what I mean? So you never know what somebody's going to see, so you should prepare them.
Yeah, so because I try to create 2 profiles, but I've had other profiles before, so I kept on getting flagged because I was going to have a leather profile and then a regular, just Jeremy J. Muncie profile, but it didn't. And by that point, I said, you know what, love me or hate me.
Exactly.
You know, if this is something that makes you a little uncomfortable with, then you're just going to be uncomfortable all the time.
But why would somebody be uncomfortable just because of your jacket? I have a leather jacket.
Well,
But you know what I mean?
some have other reasons for why they may do that. I do have some close to me in the leather community that they do that for their own protection, that they would have 2 different profiles, let's say, because they feel more comfortable to do that. Because, you know, we're living in such a small
but I'm just saying,
world.
Leather, it's, to me, you dress in leather. Why would that offend me or bother me?
You know,
You see what I'm saying?
it shouldn't though, but it may with someone. It may
But,
with.
I mean, it's not like you're dressing in a dress. It's not that kind of dress that I
No.
think would make somebody maybe a little bit more uncomfortable. I have a brown leather jacket. What's that mean? Brown?
We won't get into
Okay.
that one.
If somebody
never
calls
wear
her
it
an leather
again.
jacket,
I'll never
I'm so
wear it
When this
excited.
is over with, I will give you a list of everything.
I'm not wearing my
Google
leather
that.
jacket ever again.
But you know, and it may not even be the leather. It may be the stereotypes associated with
Yeah.
the leather. Even before this, we had a few conversations about what's this mean? And
Yeah.
or we shouldn't say this, or so on and so forth.
Well, they,
But it may be because of some of the negatives that may be associated with it. I know for me, finding leather actually made me better. Because, once I stepped into this world of leather, which I was already a part of, just didn't realize how much I was a part of. There I was when you met me at 501, all that, those numbers of years ago. I didn't even understand why I gravitated to the leather bars at the time that I did. But I did because, once again, that's when I felt my most comfortable. But for me, and it started as my year as Mr. Indiana Leather 2018, I thought, oh wow, I have a real obligation to be a real diplomat here. I have a lot of advocacy I have to do, and I want to be the best at it. So I had to sit and say to myself, if I'm going to be the best at this, I'm going to have to be a better son. I'm going to have to be a better employee. I'm going to have to be a better supervisor. I'm going to have to be a better partner. I'm going to have to be better at all these things before I can be looked at as better in leather. So if that's not a positive, I cannot think of one better for you.
Well, and the only reason I could think people would be uncomfortable, even if it's not from the other things associated with it, I would only think does it kind of give you a sense of dominance? Because people really do pick up on that, and I think and obviously I don't mean that in the dominatrix side. I mean it does give you kind of maybe a sense of
yes, like I was saying earlier,
confidence.
Like I was saying earlier, I feel taller when I'm in leather. I feel sexier when I'm in leather. I feel like it's the weirdest thing. So we talked a little bit of how I was working today and was making arrangements to get here. Doing what I do 9 to 5. That's what I have to do in order to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get to be in leather, I say get to be in leather. Because this makes me so happy when I can put this on. And in the summer times, I love wearing a harness. It makes me feel so sexy. A lot of people have that same reason. But as far as dominant and submissive, there's always going to be someone who identifies with being dominant. And there's always going to be someone who identifies as being submissive. I'm right kind of in the middle. I've got my moments where I want to be submissive, but then now that I'm getting a little bit older, I'm like,
Well, I think that's everybody, though. I think.
I think, and as well as growing as a person, you do grow as who you are as leather, very much so.
Because it has its own characteristics and culture to it that you have to figure out how you mold into it.
Right, and I think that's why it's always important to be amongst what we call our tribe.
Yeah.
Is because when you can sit there and read and research and so on and so forth, and all of those things are good. That's one thing I need to do, is start reading and self-educating all over again. But one of the best things you can do is being within the community.
Yeah.
One of the things I loved about my year as Mr. Indiana Leather when it was current is the traveling I did. So I went to Fort Lauderdale for Mr. Ramrod. I was one of the judges. I went to Detroit.
Mr. Ramrod, sorry.
Yes, yes. That was a fun time. And then also,
That sounds like fun.
Yes, it was. And the leather bar there really, I didn't think about it, but I was there because one of my IML brothers, he invited me there to be a judge because he was stepping down and they were getting ready to judge for the next Mr. Ramrod. But I had been there too. I had also been to Ramrod way before any of this. When Daryl and I had first started dating, it was one of our first vacations in Florida together, so we went there. But fast forward to all these years now, he said, what do you think about our leather bar? I was like, well, I enjoyed it then, I'm enjoying it now. He's like, it's kind of like it's a sinking ship. And I was like, yeah, it's kind of looks like this sinking ship. The windows are stained glass. You got a lot of this old wood around. I was like, makes me love the place more.
So, question, because in the Gay Pride Parade, they have the leather people that march. I think I saw you marching. Were you in a car?
I was in a pony cart.
Okay,
So
I remember
so it was my Sash wife and I. She also identifies with pony.
Sash wife.
Yes, because she got her
The
title.
sash that you wore for
Yes,
your title. Okay.
she got her title the same year I got my title. So, but we were in the pony cart together, being pulled by a pony.
Okay.
Yes.
I did see you. I remember that, but I saw other leather. Now, What is with the ones that wear the ears and the tail like a dog?
You're talking about the
sometimes
puppy
so.
community.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well,
I just saw them in the parade.
well,
What
I'll
are
tell
they?
you
I
what
don't
you're
know.
talking about. There is the puppy community, and the puppy community is rather large, and it's growing. But there are, and it fits within the leather community, there are individuals that identify as being puppy.
So leather is the umbrella, and then there's puppy. There's different parts of leather.
There's a lot of different
that-
things that had stemmed from it. I would say so. That gets way into history about how that all.
But there's different things
But there's
within
different
leather.
things within
Okay,
the leather
I didn't
community,
realize
and
that.
puppy is one of those, and that is actual a community of individuals who relate with being puppy.
Puppy.
Yes, I strongly urge anyone to go to a nice puppy show.
A puppy show.
A puppy show, yes.
Okay, so is that okay? So in my head, it's like a dog show, and you have a judge, and is that like right on board or
Like
and you-
agility? Do they make them run up the
Like,
things
like,
and
is it
cross
a-
the?
There's going to be certain performances that they'll engage in to
I
show
heard-
their puppy likeness
Do they on all fours?
on all fours.
And they run like that.
Yes,
Well,
but there's a
not
lot of
but-
different equipment that you can use to and that way your hands don't start to hurt. You don't feel pressure on your knees.
Do the puppies always have the ball gag in their mouth?
I don't know if all do.
Because I've seen a couple
Yeah.
of that.
I'm not
like,
a
I don't
puppy.
think that's.
I'm not a puppy, so I can't really
Okay,
answer
'cause
a lot
I'm
of
like-
it. I just know that the puppy community, I think, is great, and I love seeing a puppy show.
I would.
I've met so many.
We gotta go see one of
I
those.
know that sounds
that-
really
so
interesting.
intrigued.
Yes, that's the one thing you're gonna have to do now.
Yeah.
Is you're gonna have to go to a
Are
puppy
they?
show.
There's a lot of them in Indianapolis. or no?
There's a number of them in Indianapolis. Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
so surprising.
One thing you should do is look on my friends list, and I've got a lot of friends that are puppies.
It's intriguing.
You might have a good time having a show talking with a puppy or someone of the puppy community.
I didn't even know it was
I didn't
different
know
or
anything.
anything. I just
Yeah.
thought that was okay.
Oh,
You
yeah.
wear leather. Okay, sometimes you dress as a dog
Yeah,
with
there-
ears and tail.
There is puppy, and of course there are
Master?
trainers.
Oh, trainer.
Trainers. So pup and trainer and pup. Those who train these puppies.
Show the dogs at the show or show
Yeah.
the puppies at the show.
Yeah. You're really gonna have to go to a pup
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh.
Because really, what I'm doing is I'm telling you what I've seen.
Well, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. No, and it really is
But
because
it's not a sexual show
no
at all,
no,
right?
No. Now, whether somebody personally feels sexually excited by doing it, that may be his
Well,
or her.
but that's not what it's about.
No, it's about seeing a puppy show.
Well, and I think that's what people sometimes think
Yeah.
of leather is just sexual.
No, it
Heat.
doesn't have to be. See, the thing about it is, maybe at one time, it was more sexual in nature. And, like I said earlier, it was about taking that hyper masculinity and making it sexy so you can.
Does that
But-
kind of go in with the bear look too? Trying to look
Yeah.
masculine, the bears?
Definitely. That's where it gets into, because every person's opinion is a little bit different. Well,
Oh,
of course,
yeah.
but their perspective is a little bit different on why they do it. But, let me rewind over here. Sorry, I lost
No,
train of thought. We're
that's
having
okay.
such a good conversation.
But the masculinity.
The masculinity and different things. Yes, whether it's all sexual, no, it's not necessarily all sexual. Maybe at one time it may have been viewed as more sexual, but our causes have changed. Our community has changed, and I think it was really the HIV/AIDS epidemic that really changed a lot of that.
Yeah.
Because in leather you find a lot of advocacy about going into the community and not just watching it, but being a part of it. So for me, as a man of leather, I felt that it was really important to discuss the importance of body positivity. That just because you didn't have a certain look doesn't mean that you weren't sexy.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
throughout, and especially that's crazy to hear you say that because it's with bigger women a lot is who struggle with body positivity,
Mhm.
and I've never heard it from a man say
But it's
that.
out there. It's
Well,
out
no,
there.
I know it
Mhm.
is.
It's
Right.
in the gay community with men, let's face it, men are visual. Men like something really nice to look at. That's what they
We
like.
all do. Though.
We all do. We all do. And I'm guilty of putting myself down for not having that 6-pack of abs that you know, all the magazines and all the
Yeah.
posts that you see tell you should have. But you know, you get past it when you realize, hey, there's something else to you. You know, that a lot of that is imagery.
Yeah.
Because I've met a lot of men that don't fit the ideal image, and they're still very sexy and loved and wanted and adored. You know, and that's one thing that I realized in my process as a man of leather, is you don't have to be perfect to be loved, liked, or desired.
That's true.
You don't. That goes for anyone.
Anything and everybody.
Yes.
Anyone and everyone.
One thing that's a great example. Have you ever went to a burlesque show?
Oh God, yeah. I actually performed with burlesque troupe.
Oh, which one?
Angel.
Heck yeah! Katie Angel's my girl. Heck yeah!
The one and only standing ovation I've ever gotten. They took my shirt off of me on stage.
Yeah, and that's a good example of body positivity. What
That's-
she's doing as well.
Absolutely.
And I've worked with Angel
Yeah, I love
Burlesque
them.
a number of times, and it just is fun every time. Last time, Katie was very friendly to let me be a part of the show, and
Were you a pup?
no, but I did speak before an audience about my experience being in an abusive relationship one time, but being body shamed. And in that speech, I wanted others to recognize why that's not okay.
You don't think about it with men.
But it's out there.
I know, but you just don't think about it in that. I don't think society really thinks about men being body shamed as much as they do think about women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it is true, and I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, it's out there, and it's very important if you're watching to know that someone loves you no matter how you're built. You just have to be healthy and happy. So for me, I love to eat, but I make sure I go to the gym in the morning.
I love to eat, and I'm happy being fat. I've decided I don't care
I've
anymore.
got too many notes on my body right now, so.
but that's a great example of certain things in the community, because everybody has something they're passionate about.
Oh yeah.
And for me, that was my passion. After I won Mr. Indiana Leather and was getting ready to go to IML.
What's IML?
International Mr. Leather.
Okay.
So all these men that win these
All
leather,
states?
all states, bar titles, even over in Europe and Canada and everything, that are winning some of these leather titles right now are getting ready to go to IML, International Mr. Leather, which happens Memorial Day weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So glad I don't have to prepare for that this year. Woo! It's one of the greatest things about stepping down.
What did you have to do to prepare for that?
You had to have your leather looks together.
Well, it looks like you have it.
This is just one look.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a whole full weekend of having multiple leather.
So you just had to
looks.
have your outfits.
You had to have your outfits. You had to be able to give your best representation of you and what leather
Did
means
you get
to
a
you.
speech?
I didn't make it because I didn't make top 20.
Oh,
So
okay.
you make top 20, you'd be able to
So
get
you'd
your
have had to
speech.
get your speech ready and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
to get
Okay,
that ready
that's what I
just
was
in case
asking,
you made that.
besides
So there's
leather.
a lot of preparation that does go into that, but there's a lot of bonding that happens. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
created by a man named Chuck Renslow. He passed away in 2017, but he created it with his partner, who had passed away in the 90s. And they said, what can we do to really celebrate this? So they started out with this, what was at the beginning, a small competition with 12 men. And then here, we were class of 40, so they're working on class of 41 now. And my class was 71 men.
Wow.
71 men. It was quite the experience.
Did
And-
Daryl go with you?
Yes, he did. Poor Daryl. Poor Daryl. He didn't know what he was getting into when I showed up at his door one day.
Well, question, how did you guys meet? Because he's not into leather.
We actually,
he's
well,
a
see,
little
and that's the thing. I wasn't, really practicing the leather like
Oh,
I
at
am
the
now.
point.
At the time, I was kind of in transition of my life, about where I was going to go, what I was doing. I was starting a new job, and once I got me together, I was able to get back in there and like, oh, there's that sexy dude that likes that leather on his skin. But we met at a party, and just started hanging out as friends, and then before we knew it, we're like, why are we not dating? Why are we not together? So we decided we were together, and then a few months later, I lived with him. I've been with him since. So, but it is interesting to be leather and to have a partner who's not leather.
That's what I was wondering. I mean, is that normal usually?
And we're not the only couple. I'm sure we're not the only couple where one is more leather and the other one isn't. But I will say the one thing I really appreciate what he does is when I do have an event or if there's something going on, he'll put his leather suspenders on and his leather cap that says Daddy.
Love
And
it.
he just always looks so cute in it.
Daddy. Is that because he's 30 years older?
Daddy?
Daddy?
Yes.
So you call him Daddy?
No.
Okay.
I never call my partner Daddy because we don't have daddy-boy relationship. We're just a domestic partner relationship.
Okay.
We're very, not that a daddy-boy isn't equal to each other, but because he's not leather, you know, we don't really use those terms with us. We're just Jeremy and Daryl. And that's the way we like it.
Well, it's cute that he has suspenders and a hat, though.
I know.
So that he can
Kind of
participate.
like when I had some fundraisers, he made sure he wore them and he looked great in it. So he was very supportive with it, and
That's cute.
even in the disappointments, he's always been supportive of where I'm at in the community, where I fit in the community.
How do you keep your boots so clean?
Well, I've gotten fairly good myself cleaning them with some Lexol. So you use like a soft rag.
Do you do that too on the
You
your
can do,
leathers?
yes, you do it
Okay.
all on your leathers. But when they've come to a point that I can't really do more with them, I take them to a boot black. So if you ever go to a leather event or a leather bar, you might see that there's a little booth there and there's somebody cleaning somebody's shoes.
Like in the olden days?
Like in the olden
At
days,
the
yeah.
train stops and stuff?
Yeah. But there is a community within the leather community, and that's the boot blacks. The boot blacks are who keep our leather looking good.
Do they clean your jackets and
They
stuff?
can.
too?
Oh yeah. There is Slave Lion here in Indianapolis.
What?
And so her name's Lion, but she's a slave, and she cleaned all my leather before I went to.
Oh, so she goes by Slave Lion.
Mm-hmm.
That's not her government name.
No, that's just who she is in the community.
She's
And
a slave.
Yes, she has a master and she's a slave. But she did all my leather before I went off to IML, and everything came back gorgeous.
Now,
Spot
I'm
on.
sure this is a paid thing.
Oh, I paid her. Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant. It's
Yeah.
a paid service that she
Oh yeah,
does.
it's actually in a lot of scenarios it's like tip service. Like you go to a boot black that just happens to be there, and you tip them. You
So
tip
it's
them for their
within the
service.
community. You don't go to a shoe store to have them done in a mall.
Oh no,
type
I
thing.
would always go to a boot black just because I want to see that the boot blacks are being supported.
And they're within your
and
community.
they're within a community. So if I was going to have somebody touch my leather and take care of some things that I could take care of, I would go to a boot black.
Didn't know there was such thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I'm so
I
intrigued.
know,
It's
like-
like having a blacksmith. I mean, it's just
Mhm.
so the 501 is no longer in existence.
Mhm.
So what is there a leather bar in Indiana now?
There is not, well, that's debatable, but Greg's on 16th Street,
Yeah.
our place, has been really welcoming to our community.
Oh yeah.
So there are a lot of people in the community that still identify with leather, but we don't have that place to go to. So Greg's has definitely opened it up to say, hey, we support you, you're a part of our community.
Metro has a lot of leather people there because
Mhm.
the 501's just down the street, and they would
Right.
come
Mhm.
even when it was open.
So we've
Bounce
been,
back and forth.
right, kind of doing some bar hopping.
Yeah.
But we've been very lucky that Latrina Bidet and Greg Cotton, they're now the owners of Greg's. We're very lucky that they bought, because Phil Dinnick had passed away, who was the owner.
When did
That
they
was a
buy it?
few. They just bought that less than a year ago.
Okay.
They actually just celebrated.
I didn't know it.
Yeah. So they're running Greg's, and they've been very accepting to our leather community. Friday nights is usually leather theme. Unfortunately, Friday nights is the weirdest thing. I'll have insomnia. You know, Monday through Thursday. Friday comes, I could go out, but last Friday I fell asleep by 10 o'clock. But we're kind of on it mend. I think one day something will happen, and we will definitely get that place back where we can go and
Just you guys and be.
well, we're all
well, for the
inclusive.
most part.
We're all inclusive, so you know, if you're not leather, show up.
But it'd be a leather bar
But it'll
with
be-
other people
Mhm.
included in it,
Yes.
but be mainly
But
yours.
hopefully we come back to that at some point one day, because right now you would say we're kind of on the mend.
I think a lot of the bars and gay bars are more inclusive now, and a lot of them are going away because we don't need bars because all we have to do is this.
Unfortunately, the social
Swipe.
media or apps, I feel that that's what's taken away
Yeah.
from a lot of what we once had. Even when I moved here back in 2007, we were still calling each other on the phone.
Oh yeah.
I remember back in 2007, we were still calling each other on the phone. And once texting came on everyone's phone, then there was all these apps. I feel that killed us.
I
That
think it
unfortunately killed us. And I want to go back to those days when we didn't have that.
Well, I mean, I like the inclusivity. But
Oh, no, but I mean-
I liked being able to go to my bar and it being my friends that I get to hang out with,
Mhm.
and not just all these random people.
Right.
Which I go to straight bars, and I
Mhm.
mean, they're bars now, is what
Right.
they are. All
Mhm.
the bars are just bars now.
Mm-hmm.
But I love going to different bars that have different groups of friends that I like. But when if I want to go to the Metro, I liked seeing all my homos there, you know, and hanging out with my homos.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well, what's the saying? Birds of a feather flock together.
yeah, and I mean, and I love that we're so inclusive. I mean, we wanted this, and
Yeah,
we got
no,
it.
we did. We worked really hard to have this more inclusive environment where, you know, it's okay for, say, me and a few other guys to go to a straight bar
Oh, absolutely.
and be completely welcome now, which is, yeah, you're
cool.
right. We worked really hard for
We did.
that. It is a nice feeling.
It just stinks that we don't have that one place
Yeah.
that we can go be with our like kind.
But, you know, if you want to do that, just always make sure you hit Greg's up. Greg's was one of my sponsors in my year, and Greg's is still great. You can still go there on a Friday and
Oh,
Saturday
yeah.
night and still have a blast if you want.
Oh yeah, I had a blast there.
Yeah, especially if you
Well, I
go-
love the Metro
Yeah.
still. Don't
well,
get me wrong.
Greg. I was
Well,
talking about, but Metro's still
I
great
still go to
too.
the Metro
Yeah.
a lot, but yeah, no, I've been to Greg's quite a few
Mhm.
times, and it is great.
They have their sirens, Sirens of 16th Street. They do have their drag show on Friday nights. I think that's
At Greg's?
Yeah. So I think it starts about 10 o'clock.
I didn't realize they had a great
Regina Bitch is show director of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know her.
Don't we all? Hey, Regina. Rice Queen.
Yeah, I didn't even realize. I didn't think we had that many drag shows in town, except for Zonies, and now Metro's doing one. I didn't realize they were doing it.
Oh, they still do. Yeah, they do.
And now there's I don't know what it is, Zone Pound or something like that.
What's
There's
that?
I don't know. There's a once a month drag show. I guess they do a big drag show thing somewhere.
Where?
I don't know
I'll
exactly.
have- we'll
what
have
it
to
is.
look
I'll have
into
to look
that
it up
one.
exactly, but I don't know. But I've heard that. But we've talked about how unfortunately there's not the drag shows like there used to be, like Talbot Street. But
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
Oh, Talbot.
Well, you know, I mean,
maybe something like that.
I'm not a drag queen, of
No.
course, but you know, I support the drag community. I love the
yeah.
drag community. We need that. A good friend of mine who is the former Mr. Chicago Leather, he just stepped down last weekend, and he said it really his example was great. He's like, you have to think of our community. There's two pillars. There's the drag, there's the leather. He's like, we need the drag because we need that comedy, we need that entertainment, we need that, and he's like, and then we need the leather to express that we still are a sexual nature community. Which I thought, you know, that was his take on that, and I really thought that was well said. Because it's unfortunate, there are, you know, at one point in time, some queens have told me, they're like, yeah, 25 years ago, I could have just made a career out of doing drag, and it's a little bit harder to do that now.
Yeah, you can't now. Unless
some
you're
still
in a big
do.
city.
So, yeah, some.
Not
I
in
mean,
Indianapolis, I
look
don't
at-
think.
You
think?
There's a few, but I think they still have some part-time gigs.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I feel like, you know, even like Louisville.
No, I
and
think they could
Ontario-
probably do it there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that you have more options there, though. With Indiana, I think that those options have really tapered themselves out. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
like Talbot Street.
Yeah.
Well, and everything's more inclusive, and so notorious straight bars, which are all inclusive now too,
Mhm.
don't have drag shows at their bars.
No.
Which
But wouldn't that be fun?
That wouldn't be a bad idea. If you own a
What
bar,
is
I'll be
it-
contacting
what
you.
is
Well,
it
did
called?
you
Flash
did you
mob?
know this
Flash-
this last year I did a little drag?
No.
Yeah, yeah. My sash father, Leo Matthews. He
Sash
had-
father is the person that passed
The-
it down to you.
Yes.
Okay.
So he was 17, I'm 18, and then we got Joe over here, who's current. Hope you're having fun, Joe. He does a benefit in November called Boots to Babes, where there are some entertainers who are regular drag queens.
So boots to babes.
And then there are some who are not that get into it. But I actually made a pretty woman. I'll have to show you. Check out on my
I will.
Facebook page. It's there.
I will definitely do that.
I did 2 numbers, but only one got on Facebook. You remember Earth Girls Are Easy? Do you remember that movie?
Yes.
So you remember Julie Brown's blonde?
Downtown
Yeah,
Julie Brown?
not Downtown Julie Brown, but Julie Brown.
No.
She had reddish hair, comedian, did a little song. She said she had the one song, Everybody Run, The Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun.
Oh, yeah.
She did a song on that movie called Because I'm Blonde, where she talks about being a blonde. You have to watch it. It was hilarious.
So you did drag to
So
that
I
song?
did drag to that, and I told Liam, I said, I love you. When this shit comes off, it comes off until next year.
Yeah, I know.
To do drag,
But that's going against what the leather does for
not
you.
necessarily because we were doing
That makes you masculine and that makes you feminine.
But the thing about it is, we were doing that for a good cause.
Yes, but I mean, that's opposite of what
It's ideally, that's why it's funny.
Because it's totally the opposite.
Because it's total opposite of it, and you know, where I'm at with the community, if what I'm doing is there to help make a few dollars to go to say DEFA,
Which is?
DEFA is, now you ask me and I'm going blank. DEFA, oh boy, I'm so sorry everybody, I can't think of everything.
It's okay.
It is the emergency fund. I am so blonde right now.
Drag?
What? No. What
Okay.
the DEFA fund is, though, it's a fund that's held by Greg's. It was created by Greg Powers, who was the original owner of Greg's, and basically it's a yearly benefit that collects money for HIV/AIDS.
Okay.
So for someone who, let's say, who is found out, they've been hit very hard with the virus, and it's taken them out of work for a while. What that fund will do is that will give to them in order to be able to get back on their feet until they start to feel better and they can go about working and
No, that's good.
obtaining their life.
I've never heard of that. That's
Yeah,
good.
but that's a yearly fundraiser that Greg's does. So we were doing it for that cause. We were giving
Well,
back
that's
to that.
great.
So.
No, it's just funny because you talk about how you put the leather on it, you just feel more masculine.
Mhm.
And it's like, to me, the leather, the way you've explained it, I'm going to
Mhm.
look at the Leatherman as the butchest of the gay men. You know what I mean?
You
If that
could.
makes sense, kind of.
Yeah,
Like
you
you
could.
said that. I'm
You
like,
could,
guys
but
are like the manly men.
what is also really great to know about that is that why we have this exterior, why we may seem a little bit and like, how do I talk to this guy? You'll find that we're some of the biggest softies.
Well,
We're the kind that cry at movies. I mean, I'm speaking about myself.
Yeah.
But okay, so a great example. So I talked a little bit about Ramrod. So
I love that name.
it's Scott Blomstein. He's got, I don't know if he can hear this, but he's very the idea of leather. You know, he's got his cover on. He's from West Palm Beach where it's hot and he'll still wear leather. That's how devoted he is to his leather. And he just has this very, because he's really buff and built. And when I saw him, I was like, well, I need to go say hi to him. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is one of my new best friends because he's so sweet and he's so profound and so he'll ask you all these questions because he wants to get down to it. He's like, well, what are you talking about, brother? And I'm like, this is not what I thought at
So-
first, but you'll find that in the leather community there are so many that have such big, deep hearts.
So kind of like a rock-covered marshmallow.
Or a gentle giant. He's my gentle giant. I'll
Oh,
refer
okay.
to him as kind of like a gentle giant. But I never expected seeing him, even as another man of leather, that he would be such a soft-hearted guy that do anything for you. We had the opportunity of going all around Florida, and he wanted to show me around. And everywhere we go, he talks to everyone like he knows them. So if that gives you some examples of, you'll find that. I really want the two of you to maybe go to a leather event at some point.
I would
I
really
wanna
like
go to the
to.
pup
I'm
show.
so intrigued.
I,
I really
that's
would
what
like
I
to
think
go
maybe
to
the
the
three
show.
of us need to go to a pup
I think
show.
the three of us definitely
I'm
need to go to
in.
a puppy show.
Okay.
We could do tag broadcasts from there easily.
Oh, that would be
Ooh,
fun.
yeah, and then we could interview people from the show. And talk
Mhm.
about
Oh yeah, we're down. We're down for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, see, because like I said, you're going to learn more when you're out there
Oh, I'm sure.
You
I
know,
believe it.
about what you're seeing. You know, the bar scene and you know the play and certain things associated with that. To me, is what I think of as recess. But when you get into these big events where we're celebrating what leather is,
Yeah.
then that's when you see a lot of the bonding happen, a lot of the learning happens, and a lot of the friendship and family happens.
See, and I had a totally different thought about what leather even was before you came in and explained it. Because, I mean, all I knew was I saw guys wearing leather in the gay pride parade or around gay pride. And I'd seen with their assless chaps on and nothing underneath.
Okay,
And,
I have to correct you on something.
oh, is it not assless chaps?
It's just chaps. All
Okay.
chaps are assless.
Oh. I'm not a...
You
Don't do that. I
No,
Well, I
this
mean-
one.
No,
This
that-
one rides horses.
That's really so funny because
He had his chaps on. Okay, without pants. How's that?
there's reasons why but just chaps.
Chaps
Yeah.
without pants, and then his
Yeah.
leather crisscross and his hat and his
Harness. Yeah.
okay, is that the harness, and then his
Mhm.
neck, and stuff. And I've seen people like that,
Mm-hmm.
but I just thought, well, okay, that's just what they like, and it's
Mhm.
just a kink or something, and that's my image that I had
There's-
of it. And so you coming on
Mhm.
explains it in a totally different thing than I had in my head.
It's just, it's really a personal thing. Leather is really very personal to what you mean, like I said, what it means to me, what it means to somebody else, what it means to this person. But so much it's because we gravitate to that leather is what you can't really define it. You can't really define it, and every person's a little bit different, but we all are attracted to that.
So talking about leather, I'm sure that coat cost a pretty penny.
I actually I got a pretty good deal with this.
Really?
It's cost me close to $200. I got it from a shop in Chicago called Leather 6410.
Is that in Boys Town on Homestead?
It is by Touche and Jackhammer. So if you ever go, it's like Touche is the real leather. It's a leather bar,
Mhm.
and then Jackhammer's just real.
So they're probably in Boys Town.
Yeah,
Up there.
in that area.
Yeah.
I get a little dyslexic about my directions,
Oh,
so
yeah.
don't ask me that. But we could make a trip there one day.
I'm really wanting to go to one of those pub shows and go play leather for a day.
Oh yeah. Well, I think dressing again, because I'm like you said, there doesn't have to be like a lot of leather, so it wouldn't like take much for us to like. I like to think
You could
semi blend.
You could start off with a nice leather vest.
There you go. And I think it's like right down like
I
you're
kinda
kind of your
wanna go-
dyke alley a bit.
I kind of
and-
want to go, if we're going to do it, I just kind of want to go full bore. Leather.
We could do that.
I
We
mean,
could
if
do
you-
that.
I mean, if we're going to do it and make
Yeah.
a show of it,
I
let's
mean-
do it.
But
I'll take the more conservative side of leather, and then you can take.
well, we can just totally do a real makeover madness. With
I think
leather.
it'd be fun just to do a whole makeover and
I-
live the leather culture for a day.
Yeah.
I've heard of certain fun shows where they take from preppy to leather. So they'll
That's
take
it.
like a group of preppy kind of gays
Yeah.
and leather them out to see who they've made the most leather. I've heard of fun little shows like
With
that.
something like that.
That that's a start.
We could have our viewers vote on who wore it better.
Who wore it better?
Better. Who wore it better.
Better.
Have percentages under our photos.
And then we'd have to figure out, who the what the winners get for that. So
Oh.
that'd be fun.
Or
So
maybe what
do
happens to the losers.
Do you normally just wear the jacket, or do you wear like the vests and stuff?
A lot of times, I have my vest on right
Oh.
now. So a lot of times, if I'm going to a leather event, say Indiana Leather Pride, or something where I may want them to see where I come from, and part of my heritage as being Mr. Indiana Leather 2018, I would wear my vest. I don't wear it as much right now, but partly because this is the first. I may have said it earlier. This is the first thing I've done in the community since my step down, which will be a month ago tomorrow. But here's a little bit of a look of it.
Ooh.
So everyone who
I
wins,
like the stars.
the stars are a lot of fun. I love stars. But every man who wins the competition will get a patch, and it'll have his year on it. And this was created. It was Leather to Me by Leather 6410. It was one of their best. And then their tailor put on the stars
And the patch.
stitching and the
I
patch.
love the white lining too.
The white, yeah, that really just balanced it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't really mean anything. The stars still kind of represent Indiana, and I love stars.
Yeah.
I have them tattooed on me. See the stitching, it's yellow. We had some conversations. about
Yes,
that
I-
days.
So that was purposeful.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I wanted them to
So
put
you
the
have
clothes
that. They have, because you said something about the yellow on his boots. So
Mhm.
you guys actually have your leathers made and have that incorporated the colors
Oh,
into it.
Yeah, if you have a kink that works for you, you'll wear your color.
See, I thought it was just you had that. And, it has yellow in it. I'm gonna
Nope,
get
I
those.
did this because it was reflective of part of
Okay.
my some of the fun I like to partake in.
That's intriguing.
Yes, it is.
I still need to look up that list.
I know. I
Oh,
gotta see
yeah.
that
So many.
You'll go up on Google and it'll pop right up.
Is there a pink?
There's a pink, but I'm more familiar with fuchsia.
Uh-huh.
Is okay. Well, I may have to change my hair color before we go to the leather until I
Excellent.
see what fuchsia is.
Yeah,
Would I be okay? Safe?
Yes.
If I say no, it's
That brings up a really important topic. Even outside the leather community, I don't care what your walk of life is or where you fit in it, but just remember, consent is sexy.
Mhm.
It's never okay just to assume.
yeah.
So one thing that I really appreciate is if somebody says, "Can I touch you?" Can I touch you? Stop.
You was running your
Flushing.
hair. How easy was that to happen to you?
But listen to how that sounds. That
You
is
shut
so
up.
much
Yeah.
sexier to,
Mm.
to be in that zone where somebody respects your
Boundaries.
space and boundaries
Yeah.
enough to say, "Is that okay?" Opposed to just grabbing you, because that's not okay.
Yeah.
So that's very important. That's been something that I've really felt that
Yeah.
needs to be heard in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Is that consent is sexy. There's also other sayings I've heard. There's one, just because I'm wearing of course it doesn't mean yes.
Oh.
So for some of the ladies of leather, just because they're wearing a corset doesn't mean it's okay just to grab them. Just
Well, like we talked about Angel Burlesque, I've
Yes.
worked with them, and since you worked with them, you probably know Max Maneater,
Yes.
and she's gorgeous, and she wears her corset. But well, actually, it's a tattooed corset. But that doesn't mean when she's in her outfit for her burlesque, that doesn't mean yes.
No, most definitely.
I mean, she has a beautiful wife,
Not.
and but I think people think because you're dressed like that and you're performing, that it means okay. You know what I mean?
It doesn't always
Right.
equal to that.
Yeah.
Right.
And
It
so I'm
does-
glad you said
yeah.
that, because people need to know no means no.
No means no.
And it's just like you said, that's such a powerful message, like in every walk of life
Yeah.
right now. Like truly, even like transitioning, obviously, it's like a different end of consent.
Mhm.
And I think that that's awesome. That's truly being put out in most communities now. It's like consent is truly the sexy, divine thing you should be reaching for with sex.
Absolutely.
You know.
And it gives you a really good chance, like we were just playing around a
Yeah.
few minutes ago. It gives you a really great chance to really engage with someone.
It's true.
Yeah.
And get to know them and just not be like, grab ass or
Grab it.
whatever.
Now I have a few situations where I have felt my ass grabbed or something, and I'm like, "Oh, what is going on here?" And it'll turn out to be one of my besties or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's a little bit different.
Oh, yes.
Your rapport with that person
Mm-hmm.
makes
Yeah.
a difference, and even where you may be located, you got to think about that. So if you're in a play space, you kind of have to assume that somebody's going to want to do that.
Yeah.
That's true.
So if you're not hands-on, you have the option of not being in that space. But if you're in that space, you might want to keep that in mind, that
That's
people are
true.
going to think, yeah, okay, maybe this is okay. But even then, you still need to really, I think nonverbal is very effective.
Mm.
So if you're kind of being sweet with someone and they're not receptive, then that means no. Go on.
Right.
I
go
agree.
on.
I agree.
But no matter what, everyone, consent is sexy. Keep that right in here. It's very important.
Yeah, for every walk of life, for
Absolutely.
sure.
No, like I said, I think
So.
that's a truly strong message that should always get out there.
Absolutely. We really want to do the makeover, the leather
Oh, yeah.
makeover,
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, definitely want to do like a
And-
whole episode based
and
around
do
that.
a day
Mhm.
trip of leather,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
which one wore it. Bleather
Hashtag leather.
But like what he's
Leather.
wearing, a leather vest would look so good with that flannel.
Right, and then I could get my black shit kickers from my lesbian days and pull those out with it, and
The only
my
boots I
Doc
have are-
Martin-esque.
The only boots I have are Doc Martens.
Oh,
course.
I have a
And
pair.
they're brown leather.
A pair of my leather shoes that are my favorite are Doc Martens. They look like the saddle shoe look.
The patent leather, the two-tone.
Yes.
I had a pair of those.
Yes. I love those.
I bought them back in 2000.
See,
I love those
that part of
so
leather
much.
culture I can get on board.
Oh, I
Fits
love them.
every
The
day.
wingtip is what mine were.
Yeah.
They were white with the black. Oh,
Yes. I've worn those to a few different events.
those are sexy.
Traditionally, you're going to see a lot of boots like this. But once again, leather's personal. You know,
Yeah.
Whatever you like.
if it, you know, it just depends on where you go. And then you can play with that idea of leather. So we can have a lot of fun doing
Heck yeah.
this.
I think
Yes.
we're going to.
Especially when like you think about like the two different personalities.
Oh,
being,
God,
like,
yeah.
translated.
We're gonna have a lot of fun.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
We'll plan a Chicago trip.
Heck
one
yeah.
day.
Oh,
Heck
you're
yeah.
going all the way to Chicago.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Because then that night we could go to the Touche, and then we could go to Jack
And
Hammer.
then that's
I'm
like
scared.
11 No, that's exciting.
We're gonna go to a pup show for sure.
Oh, that yes, that
I gotta
will
see
happen.
that. I gotta see it.
No, you'll be thoroughly entertained.
I love dogs and puppies.
And puppies.
Sorry, I'm assuming I'd love one of them, but thank you so much, sweetie.
You're welcome.
I
I've had.
appreciate it so much.
It's been great. It's been such an honor to be here to talking with both of you about different things that are going on in the community. So I hope the things that I've said educate, get the know out there, and maybe pique some interest.
I've probably said it before, but I'm glad you explained it because I always thought it was just a kink thing, the leather.
Yeah,
and
it
so
doesn't
I'm
have
really
to be.
glad that you
A lot of advocacy.
explained that because I'm sure I'm not the only one that thinks that.
Probably
So,
not.
thank
But-
you.
But then you know, people of leather, we have a responsibility to inform. There's more than what you're seeing. So I'm glad that I was able to come out.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
again.
Please have me back again.
Oh,
We
yeah.
would love to.
Oh yeah.
And if you want to be on a podcast, contact us. Go to our website, www.laughs.life. There's a contact me page.
Or you can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at The Gaze of Our Lives.
Can we do this?
This has been Gaze of Our Lives. Make sure to check out the Gaze online at www.laughs.life. And since Lisa and Avery don't have a lot of money, this episode has been brought to you by
Higher Life CBD Dispensary for all your CBD needs. Located downtown Indianapolis at 901 North Pennsylvania Street. And make sure you tell them the Gays sent you.